We're gonna go take a look at this big old redwood right here. It's got some issues that we're working on. So we're one of the other issues, so a couple of issues we have, some slide out roofs and also a routed slide out floor. So, but let's go see what we got going on the roof itself, and we shall show you. We still got to get some protection on it. We just inserted a couple of things here. Protection meaning like to protect the awnings and everything else. So this is your redwood right here. I think we're going to be getting rid of that satellite. We don't do anything anymore, but you can see we got quite a bit of leaks right here. I'll bet this leak, see this leak right here? That's because it's mounted right there. That leak over here. There's another one right here. These are basically, it's got to be confusing to say, but they are roof mount, but all air conditioners are on the roof, but they're not necessarily mounted the same way. So some travel trailers, you can go inside and you'll see like a filter box or an access that you can get up underneath the air conditioner. There's a plate and you can bolt it down from the inside, and the bolts run up into the frame of the air conditioner, and when you tighten it up it'll squash it down. That's called the compression fitting. So there's still a foam gasket under here, but this one they screwed down into the roof deck because there's nothing in the ceiling. It's just, there's no filter box or anything. It's not like that on this one. So mobile suites is a very similar design, but when you put them on like this, they leak. All they do is just goober that stuff on there, and that's just not smart. So like, so we'll be getting rid of that. We got a fake roof vent. That thing doesn't work. So the way that works, see if I got something to draw with. You got a pen? Let's see if I can get something to draw with. Marker? There you go. You even got a marker. You're alrighty. Alright, so they call it a vent, and in order for a vent to vent, I'm gonna do a very probably poor drawing of your house or a house. Alright, sometimes you'll have a ridge vent up here and it'll run all along the whole ridge. Alright, fascia board. Oh, you're getting detail here. Or you may have a gable vent, or you may have louvers. So this would be the gable wall, this would be the roof. You may have louvers. You'll have one of these type of ventilation. Down here is the soffit. The air flows up through like this. This is how it would go. You need to have that air, or it would go out this way. Or if that was a ridge vent, obviously it's coming out that way. That's the way the ventilation works. It needs to have a lower draw. If it doesn't have a lower draw, it doesn't work. That is a marketing scam, so they can tell people, hey, your roof is vented. Yeah, it'll stay much cooler because we put ventilation in there. No, it doesn't work. So you need to have that on there. So you can see, typically they just keep putting more on, slobbering it all over with all this Dicor, whatever it is. I don't know the brand name of it, but it's just all junk. So same thing over here. We'll see how bad these ones are. Doesn't sound bad now. We'll see when we pull them off. But you can see how, let's see if I can get in here. I like to show this because this is why the curbs are important. I'm going to try to get the camera in there without zooming up. It seems to work better that way. See all that booger in there? All that contaminates and ruins the gasket. That's what eats the gasket up. So you get pollen, dirt, debris that collects up underneath there, and then it starts to just cause the gasket to fail. When the gasket fails, this is a slow, chronic thing that happens. You're not going to see a deluge of water. You're not going to see it pouring in as a rule, not unless you clip something with a, get it, into a bridge or whatever. But I'm talking about an actual gasket failure. You're going to get these, it's going to happen like down over here. That gasket, when it fails, the roof deck soaks it up. When the roof deck soaks all that up, that it can't handle no more, then the insulation soaks it up. Then the framing will, especially if it's a wood framing. I'm guessing this is probably going to be aluminum. But that'll go through the insulation, then it'll get into the ceiling. By the time you see a leak inside the camper, you've already got problems. All that water that's in there, all of it's got to come out, meaning the wet insulation's got to come out. You have to open this roof up and you have to air dry it. If you don't, it will turn to mold. So I'd like to point it out, and this is a really good example right here. But we'll be putting, you know, elevating it up on a curb. If you've seen in my other videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, you'll see it before the end of this one, I guess. So, and the same thing here. You got these antennas, this little boot. If you have one of these, you really want to keep booger in here, because water will trickle down here, get down inside, and get into your coach. So if you were to have this roof sprayed over, if they did this, and I'd just like to give people information, if you want to go that route, have at it. But I like to, a lot of times, you know, these companies don't tell you exactly everything, and then you find out after the fact. But we'll say, you go, hey, this seems like a pretty good roof deck, we're going to spray over it. Well, they're not going to cover this for sure. It says it in their warranty. And also, they do not cover failed gaskets. So when it does fail, not if, they don't last forever. Despite them saying that the roof may last forever, I've never seen that ever happen either. But we'll say, you know, the gasket is going to fail. When it does, you're going to end up having all that damage, like that is down here. You're going to have all this damage. You're going to need to tear up all of this stuff that they put down. You're going to need to open this up, make all those repairs, put it back, and then you have to go to them to have another recoat put on there, then put your air conditioner back on. It's the same thing for a skylight or a vent. So what they're going to do is they're going to spray all of this. So now we'll say this breaks for whatever reason, tree branch hits it, I don't know, something breaks, fails, maybe the mechanisms don't work. You go, hey, I got to replace that thing. You're going to have to cut all of this stuff out, all of their product off of there, remove it, get it back down, go to them, and do a recoat. So, you know, keep that in mind. But the collateral damage from this is not covered under any spray or roll-on roof system. Read the warranty. You know, and I like to educate people. Some people say I'm bashing. I'm merely telling you exactly what's in their warranty. It's written there. You can see it yourself. It's not anything I'm making up. So, and a lot of people don't delve into the warranties, and they find out after the fact, and they go, wow, that's not so cool now. Or if you had, they're going to spray over everything. We took the gutters off, but they spray over it, and we'll say you damaged the gutter or whatever, it needed to be fixed. You're going to have to rip all that up, go back to them, and you know, you're definitely going to go back to them or get somebody out there or whatever. I think one of the roll-on companies, they'll come out to you if you can get a hold of them. And then if not, you got to go to the spray place. You're gonna have to go to them. So, and this is just all FYI. So the way we're gonna put it together, anybody can follow behind us. So you won't have the issue with the air conditioner because it's gonna be elevated up off the roof line. That's a done deal. You won't have all that debris. You won't have all the pollen, all the dirt and everything that I showed you, even like what's up underneath this one. You're not gonna have all that because it's gonna be elevated up. It also is not going to be able to jump the curb into there, and I'm going to have a piece of counter flash that'll prevent even the water coming down from going back in. So we're going to have all these safeguards in there. It just isn't going to happen. So that's the purpose of a curb. It diverts water away from penetrations. That's the way it functions. Every flat roof you look at, every flat roof, and some people will argue with me and say this isn't a flat roof. It is, for all practical purposes, a flat roof. A low slope roof is considered a flat roof. So until you start getting above basically what they call a 4-pitch, you know, a 4-pitch or better, that they would consider that a pitched roof. But when they're talking about flat roofs, it's anything all the way up to just under a 4-pitch. So it's considered a flat or, again, / low slope. The procedures, the flashing, the techniques, the installation is all the same for a flat / low slope roof. So like I said, we'll have all these up on curbs, but anybody can follow behind us. If they have to service an air conditioner, it can come off, it can get replaced, no problem. If they have to replace a vent, take it off, replace it, no problem. It's not going to, the installation is going to be exactly the same. So I'm sure we're getting rid of that antenna, because I can't build a curb for these. The reason why I can't, if you have one of these, I can't build a curb for it. So right here somewhere, this mechanism goes down, there's a shaft that goes down into the ceiling, and if I lift this up, now when you get down into there, you'll have a little crank on the ceiling. That only bites that shaft by, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch. Very, very little. by the time I elevate it on a curb, you won't get the handle back on. So we're gonna put something else on. And again, there's another fake vent over there. And you can see all they did was put some tape on here so to protect it. So we're gonna get it apart and show you more. All right, so in our big old Redwood, we've got the insulation out. That's what we're checking now, everything. We want to check like right there. We're looking for that. We're looking for some wires that just don't look right, if they're pinched or whatever. So you just look around, really. But the ducts really are something that generally happens. So they've got some loose ducts right there. That don't look much like to everybody, but see how loose that is? You barely touch it, it's already coming out. So we're going to tighten that one up, that one, the other one. We're going to go around and check them all and make sure that they're all tight, meaning taped up. The other thing we're going to check for, see the bundle of wires. See if they're gouged into our foam. Ooh. Well, you can see on the other side. I can hardly reach. Zoom up a little bit. I don't know if you can see those. A couple of gouges in there. So we're going to check for those. We're going to protect the ductwork from the wires bouncing as you travel. So we'll do that. This one don't look bad. So that's what we want to look for. Then where these go down, some of them go into a metal tube. That tube is called a ferrule. It doesn't have it, but that's a lot what we look for. Like I said, all these things digging in. See, like over there. Eventually it's going to dig in. You got a crack one right here. All right. So that is us so far. Let's go see the other side, how bad that looks. All the booger roof they got on here. We're going to clean all this booger up. There. Got a hole right there. Another one. It's just one lick. That's all they do, one lick around. And they use the cheap stuff too. So these Redwoods aren't exactly a cheap coach. This is a nice coach. I don't really like these trusses, but it'll work. And you got a little bit right there that's starting to loosen up. Got dug in on that side. Another one right here. Alright, so that's us. So now what we're going to do is tape all that up. And then we don't see any rot, we don't see any issues with wires. Sometimes, like I said, the wires are all squirrely and they're tight, and I'll try to reroute them. And sometimes all that means is that we could just cut the ductwork and drop them around. You know, like this one here. But that doesn't seem, that's loose. So I'm okay with that. Again, I just don't want it to be tight. Other than that, we're going to tape this all back up. We're going to put the insulation back in it. And probably put some better framing in here. I don't have very much to secure that down to the roof. So we're going to probably put a 2x6 in here. We'll check that over there. It looks like it's water damaged, but it doesn't necessarily look rotted. So that may be okay. And then the same with this one down here. We're going to add some right here. They just got these little 2x2 sticks, and all they do is screw down into the roof deck. But then they just staple that right to that. They staple this all together. That's all you get. Well, there's your Redwood. Let us get the ductwork all squared away, And once we do all that, we should be ready to get the insulation back and get the decking on this thing. All right, so we got everything all fixed underneath there. We went around and did all the, obviously taped up all the duct lines. And then we glued all our decking down. This is plywood, 1/2 inch. So we put all it, obviously got this all secured on there. Now we're gonna put the shoulders on. Then we got some strips that'll go over here on the joints. All right, here's one, and we'll, you know, they're making them. We'll put another one here. Basically what I'm trying to do is just make sure, and some of it may not even need it really. I put them down. Sometimes the trusses get wonky when you try to secure them to, you know, put the sheathing together. And you may have one piece of sheathing up a little bit more, and all it does is balance it out so it looks clean. That's really a lot of the reason why I do it. So not only do I want them to be watertight, I like them to look just sexy. And that's what we're aiming for, a sexy roof. All right, so now what we're doing over here, these, like I said, these shoulders are going down, but these get glued down as well. So, got one down already. And we got the glue all there. So we glue it down, we fasten it down, and we keep it going. Well, we got the passenger side already glued down. We got driver's side, this is already glued, obviously not rolled over. You can see we got our strips in there. So we get all that done, you got the shoulders on. So we're gonna roll this over. We're gonna do 2 pieces here. So the way this coach is, you probably can't see, probably not from this angle, but anyhow, it goes up, levels off a little bit, and then goes down. Some are more drastic than the others. So we're gonna do this in 2 pieces and minimize any of the slack that comes over the end, because it's like wrapping a golf ball with a piece of paper. So we don't want to have all those creases. So that's what we're trying to minimize. It'll just lay better, and we won't have the, you know, any of those burps in there where the membrane doesn't seat just right. And sometimes they have to do a pig ear and a fold. All right, so we drag the air units out here. I like to check them to make sure that they're clean, make sure there isn't junk in them. So obviously there's some of this junk. It's like just little foam or something coming apart. So, and then we also check the gasket. Now if you look at the gasket in itself, like you can see how that squeezes, that's actually pretty good in that sense, and it's pretty plush, but it's all distorted. So what happened was, whoever was muffing with this thing, you can see they tried to put caulking around the edge. You don't do that. They were trying to prevent that leak. That was from that bolt. And you can tell also they've got the gasket on wrong. It's sitting up here. It actually needs to go down quite a bit. See? It needs to go down like this and be flush. So they made a mess of this, whoever was working on it, trying to figure it out. So we're going to wash it out. The other thing I don't like is the portholes right here. So the way this works, just give you a little rundown. So this is the cabin air that comes up. This is the evaporator. And then this is a blower motor right here, and it blows it back down. That's how the cooling works. So you want to try to make sure this is all clean. You can clean it with soap and water. And then this little hole right here is for the freeze-thaw sensor. So the water though goes down at the bottom, which you probably can't see, but there's a tray there. And that's how it runs out. All the condensation runs out from that little port. But it can get clogged up with all this. That port can get clogged up real easy with that. So, and this is your tray right here. So I want to make sure all that's clean. And we're going to open that port up more so the water can flow better. Then when it's on a curb, that's the other reason why I don't like those. You know, the design of the roof is wrong in the sense of you need a curb to elevate it up off the roof line, because you don't want all that debris and pollen and everything getting in and clogging. Look at how small that hole is. It doesn't take much to clog that up. Nothing, not much at all. So now it'll back up and you can start getting leaks inside the cabin because it's actually, so now it's not draining. This tray fills up. This fan is pulling the air, so what it's going to do is pull that water in with it, and it'll throw it back down into the coach. So that's why you want those opened up as much as you can. So when it's on a curb, that helps a lot because now there's that much more room to let that water drain out. So So here's the second one. This is the other one here. So this is the rear one, and this one here is the gasket on it's a little better. You can hear it. Wow, there's a lot of dirt in there or something, but you can see the way this gasket seats is much better. So that's the way you want it. So now we'll get this cover off. Oh, that's what it was. Little screws. Almost sound like there's a whole bunch of trash in there. Get this cover off. If I can. There we go. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to check this and make sure it's all clean. This doesn't look bad. Try to salvage this, and we'll get the stick back there. We'll may have to glue it back on. The other one didn't have one. There we go. That's much better. So see all this here? This is what's going to clog the tray. It's going to clog the tray, and you still got that same port on there. So we're going to make that a little bigger. Even like these little ladybugs, they're going to clog that little drain port. So we're going to wash all this out, and then this one's going to get a new gasket. And that's about it. But it's not hard to wash out, so there's no real crazy deal. You have to hire a tech or anything to do this. I just use, you can use foam and bubbles. Just regular Dow foam and bubbles or whatever, right? Foam and bubbles. And then just take a hose, and you're going to flush it, and you're going to see the water come out. You're going to see it there, and you're going to see it drain out. Then I usually just take a brush, and you can find some real narrow brushes to kind of clean it out. You just want to flush all that out. It's literally that simple. You don't need to spend, $400 on a tech to come out here and do that. That's just way, in my opinion, way too much money. Anybody can do this. If you can get on the roof and you can handle a screw gun, you can do it in a hose, you can handle it. It's not a big deal. So, and then like you said, you'd want to check the gasket. If you're, the gasket, the way you'd have to check them is, if you see any of the stuff that I was showing you here, like if you're looking at it and that's the way the gasket looks, right off the rip, that's wrong. So, technically, from what I've been informed from other techs and guru techs that do air conditioning and refrigeration, they say that gasket really should be replaced every couple of years. So if it's been more than 2 years, going on 3 years, I'd probably just be smart to replace it. I would, because when they fail, you can end up with a lot of issues. You'll end up with it'll be a chronic leak. This is not going to be a huge leak where you see a deluge of water coming in. What'll happen on those, you'll just have a little bit right here. It'll be all distorted. Like if you look at the thickness of this, and it doesn't take much. This really wants to be nice and flat. But anyhow, you'll get a little wicks of water in there, and it'll get into the roof deck. When it gets into the roof deck will soak up the water. And then when it can't hold anymore, it'll go to the framing, especially if it's wood. It'll soak it up. If not, it'll go to the insulation, whether it's a foam insulation or whether it's a batten insulation. Then it'll go down to the ceiling panel. And all that's got to soak it up before you see it. So the gasket's $25. When you go inside, you'll be looking up at the ceiling. When you look up at the ceiling, you're going to see a box, usually a couple of screws. You pull that controller down. This is a plug and play. It can't be any simpler, like literally. And you can't mess up the way you hook it up. It's got to go in that way. It can't go in any other way. You pull that little doodad out right there, the freeze-thaw sensor. So now you'll see a metal plate. You'll see these long bolts. Unscrew them, boom, it's off. It's literally that simple. Pull them off, and then you can get a pad. You can do this all on the roof. I'd get a pad down there, so if you're going to tip it up like I am, then you're going to want to make sure your roof is protected. You just scrape that off. You can put some acetone on there or something, get a putty knife, scrape it off, peel and stick for a new one. I do, these ones are like sliced like this. The ones we have are solid stamped out. But anyhow, you'll get a new one, peel and stick. There'll be on the back, peel it, stick it on, put it down, and now you're going to tighten it up. But when I say tighten, you're just torquing and tightening. You're kind of a play in words, but you don't want to make this real tight and then come over here and make that real tight and then make that real tight and make that real tight. It's not going to come down properly. You want to torque these, meaning like just tighten this one a little bit, tighten that one a little bit, tighten this one a little bit, tighten that one. So now it's coming down, and then what you're going to see is you're going to see this thing bulb out, meaning like you'll see it have a little curvature to it. and you'll see it. And you just keep nice and easy going around. You're not trying to drive this thing down, you know, and go crazy with an impact or something and, you know, squash it. You don't want to do that. You ruin the gasket. So, but that's how easy that is. We do put a sealant on here, and you're going to look in the package and it's going to say, do not put a sealant on that foam gasket. And they are correct. Do not put a sealant on there, because a lot of sealants have solvents or petroleum distillates in them, and it will eat the foam. So if you're going to do it, you need to have a water-based type of sealant, and that's what we use. It's water-based. It doesn't affect foam. So if you have a foam-compliant adhesive that you can handle, that can handle out exterior, then you just put a tiny bead around it. That's all we do, enough to get it to stick, and that's us. So and we don't have any issues with them. But that's it. So let us get these all cleaned up, and then we'll get them back on the roof. All right, so we just drilled that out. See all that in there? You can see that little bit of booger in there. That's what's going to clog it up. And that's all it takes. So we're just using this. This is just generic foam and bubbles. That's all we're doing. We already sprayed it down. Spray it on there. Easy peasy. That's all. We'll do the condenser on the back on this one. And we'll get the condenser on the other. We'll just soak it down, let it get in there, and maybe break up some dirt. But that's how important it is, you know, and I say this all the time, these things are designed to fail. Everything's designed to fail on an RV. And people think I'm crazy, but why would they make that little porthole that small? Why? Because then you're going to go, hey, it doesn't work. Guess where you're going? You're going to find a tech. You're going to go find the service center. Everything's designed to fail, so they stay in your wallet. There's no reason for that port to be like that. That should have been opened up like I just did. Same with this one, opened up. Now, I mean, that's a big difference right there from the other hole. You know, that's like a ½ inch. The other one was like barely an 1/8 of an inch. That's ridiculous. So, but that's what they do. They put the roofs on wrong on purpose. So when you have issues, where are you going? Back to the service center or find a tech. It's all about staying in your wallet. All these little things, even the furniture, peeling already, right? And it's a shame, but RV industry has been fleecing people for decades. Personally, and I said it, boycott them. Nobody buy a camper for 2 months. 2 months, nobody, anywhere, any camper, anyhow. Don't buy one from a used, or, you know, from a used sales lot, or, you know, a manufacturer at all, no dealership, no nothing. Don't buy one for 2 months. Trust me, they'll get the idea. They'll go, all right, people are tired of us putting out all this junk. So, look at how well that thing's draining. See how good that's draining? That's what you want. You want to open it up. That's all you do. It's literally that simple. I'm going to do the same in here. I don't want to make sure, see, you always get crap that stays on here. I'm going to drill a hole right there and get some more drainage. You know, there's no drainage. The water's just sitting in there. You got a little hole over there, but I'm going to put another hole right in here. Give it a couple more drain ports. So back here is fine, but the gasket's like right over here somewhere and forward. Obviously, you don't want to put a hole through the gasket. Common sense. But we'll put one, like I said, probably right here so it drains pretty good, or even right in the back there. I just want all this water and all this other elements right here. See, these they just clog everything up. So this isn't that hard for sure. I just keep going back and forth and back and forth. I mean, you can always see all that grime come off. And like I said, I just use foam and bubbles and buy all that $high stuff. It's not necessary. You know, see how it doesn't want to drain out that well and it stays down there? So hard to get all that booger out of there, all that debris, pollen. And all that debris and pollen that gets stuck in there, that's just going to wear down the gasket, the foam gasket. So it'll dry it out. And you pass along all these tips. Alright, so the way this roof is, got that camber, we put a seam here. This is all welded, so it's not any different than if it was one sheet. I mean, the weld on this thing is 5 inches. That's a pretty big weld. But so what we got going on here, this is obviously the Skylight. So try to give you a rundown on it. You can see we wrapped the whole thing with aluminum. And then everything's been sealed. So this aluminum goes down and it sits back onto the ceiling. Okay. The lens may crack. It probably will. Nothing lasts forever. If the lens cracks, if it cracked over here, I don't want it to get down inside here and start rotting anything out. So it'll hit this and kind of drool out of the way. That's the whole idea to it. Same with that one. That's why it doesn't look all that jazzy. But it accomplishes what we need to get done, which is just prevent water from going back into the actual coach. And that's why we cladded the whole thing. So obviously if it cracked on the front, wherever, the point is that it will go down into the shower. And if the customer sees some drippage, you know, some water coming down, they're going to know that they got an issue with the Skylight. And it's not going to interfere with any of the framing. That's the point of it all. So what these are right here is right here is going to be, we're going to weld that in. This is just a little solar vent. That's all it is, just a cheap little solar vent. So what happens is, especially in the colder times of the year, you know, even like spring, winter, and you know, in the fall and so forth. So you'll get some dew that'll be sitting up on this lens, and you may get some frost. Not only is it on here, it's actually up on the inside here. So now the sun comes up, it's going to evaporate this off. When it evaporates that off, what's up on the underside, it can't get evaporated. What it'll do is it'll drool down the side, and then it'll basically, it's condensating, and it will, when it drools down the side, on the inside here, right, it'll drool down, it'll get onto the roof deck. It'll get all in there and it'll start doing what's known, that's known as dry rot. Meaning, like, it's not really a leak, it's condensation. So you keep doing that repeatedly, then you have some pretty good rot. Then the lenses will get all, the screws, because the screws are in there and now the wood is rotted, now the lens isn't down tight. So a lot of folks will go around, they'll notice a leak or something, they keep going around with more of that, you know, dye crap, keep slobbering that crap on there, and they think that's going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem because the lens isn't secured down. So because it's all rotted, right? That's just the sealant. It's not an adhesive, so it doesn't work on the same principle. So what you have to do is fix the framing, or you'd have to fix your decking before you can get that to bond, and then have to redo it. So, but the way we're doing it, there's gonna be a, well, it's right here. This is going to go here, like that. And there's also a screen. I put another piece in there, but there's a screen in there as well, so we don't get no bugs or nothing getting in there. It'll probably be up a little higher. But now when the sun comes up, this solar fan, which is going to be sitting on there, that fan's going to kick on, and it will cycle air through this. You're going to have an inner lens, and you got this outer lens. There's two lenses. So it's going to cycle air all the way through and exhaust it out. That's what it's going to do, just like that, right? And it's going to keep it dry. It's going to get rid of the moisture. It's going to get rid of any built-up heat that's in there. So that's the whole idea to our little solar issues, or condensation for the lens issue, right? So obviously this is brand new, and we've got to peel all that off in private. We're not going to end up screwing them down anyways. We don't do that. We solely glue them down, because these things in the summertime, they expand a lot. Now you get this expanded quite a bit. You're in 100-degree heat, 100 and whatever degree heat, really hot. It's pushing, it's expanding, so it's getting bigger, and it pushes on these screws. Now you get a thunderstorm. Thunderstorm hits it, wants to contract. Now it's pulling on those screws, and it does this push-pull cycle, which a lot of times you'll see fractures up along here. So we glue them down, so now the glue is expanding and contracting with the lens. So we don't have any issues with that. If it did, we wouldn't be gluing them down. All right, so that's the way this all works. And then we still got another strike of caulking to go on here, but everything else is all heat welded. Everything you see here, this is all heat welded. So this is, you don't need lap sealant for any of this. This here is all heat welded. You don't need any lap sealant for it. It's done. This is the way you do a real roof. So you want to have these curbs on here. This is a flashing. That's what this is, a counter flashing. So when the water is coming across the roof on a heavy storm, it's going to hit up in here. It's going to get redirected around. That's what the curbs do. They protect the penetration. But some people just want to keep putting, you know, product over product over product over product, and thinking that's going to solve the problem. The whole principle and design is wrong. I mean, you just have to do it the right way. This is the way roofs have been done for many, 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 many years. And they're done this way in every part of the world, everywhere. You look at a flat roof anywhere in the country, it doesn't matter, anywhere in the, not so much the country, shall I say, any country is what I'm trying to say. Any country. You can go look at Russia, Ireland, anywhere, Egypt, they're all the same, you know, they're all the same. This is how everybody knows flat roofs need curbs, except an RV. That doesn't make sense at all. That doesn't make sense to me at all. So what makes sense is that they deliberately put them down that way so they can sell you product. Yeah, I think that's what it is, because that maintenance products, they add up to, oh, I don't know, I mean, you all can do the numbers yourself. You can go to AAA and see how many RVs are on the road, but I believe there's about 1 million. So by the time I did it and figured it out, that you buy the self-leveling, you buy the coatings, you buy the conditioners, you buy all this crap that they keep promoting, because that's what you need for an RV. It generates over $1 billion a year. So they're not going to fix that cash cow. They're not going to do it. They're going to throw them out just like this, and they're going to say, well, you know, put more on, keep slobbering it on there. That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like kind of constantly airing up your tires every few months. You got to air your tires up because they go dead flat. You'd be like, no, I'm not going to buy that brand. But you put up with it on the roof. Anyhow, let's get the rest of it done. All right, so inside the coach here, we got this rotted floor. You can see it rotted right there. And it rotted pretty good down here. And a lot of those leaks are due from the outside. Right here, they put a piece of metal going across, a flat piece of metal, and that looks like where it leaked. We're going to fix all this nonsense for sure. So these are the slide roofs. This is how they do them. They bring them over, and this comes over here, they do all these folds, and you can still see, like, it looks like there's still some moisture on here already still. Right there. Got a good sheen to it. But we're replacing this with metal. We're going to have metal come up here. That's what we're going to do. And we'll refold and put all this back, because that's going to act as the gasket that comes across here, but we'll have metal here. And then where you see all these staples, there was a flat piece of metal that was on top of here. And what it does, when water hits here, it can cause it to trickle back into the coach. The same with the one down the bottom. See that flat piece there? That water can hit there and it runs back. That's what happened to this slide over here. It trickled back in and right out the floor. We're going to change all these dynamics. So we'll make another piece here, and I'll show you that after a while, but we're going to make another piece. So any water that does come down this slide wall is going to hit that piece and it'll roll away from the coach. There's our new floor. We didn't have the black, we had to put in this other color, but it's going to protect it. That's all we can do. So we're going to try and slide the floor in. Those were the two. So this whole piece, I mean, obviously it's very large, and you still have to do some work to it to join them. But what we did on here, we salvaged this piece, this main piece, cut off the rot, and then there's a half lap on here, a very big one. I burned up a couple of router tips trying to do it. But then we used marine epoxy and we bonded it back together. That's basically the same thing they're going to do with the plywood in itself. So basically it's one sheet. So we had to put on that new skin on there. Alright, what we got? Here's our new metal roof. So we're trying to get it in place, slide it in, It's all trimmed out. I gotta go inside and get her in there. All right, so we got our floor back together. Put the carpeting back in. We get all the trim up, and this is the metal roof. And it returns back over, and it gets all sealed. So there's no way this is gonna leak. It's done. It's done. Same with this one. See? That's it. All that's all wrapped up. So when it comes in, it returns up. And then this is just a piece of counterflash. That's all that is. And that's it. Like, there's no way it can leak. There's no way where water can get in this thing. So when it comes around, it's all sealed. All done. Alright, so we get all that. And now, let's scoot by you. We have some issues with the ladder. And I'm going to show you how we fix that. You may like this idea. So a common issue, you get up on this ladder and these things start to sag and it starts jerking these screws out. We took these screws out when I put rivet nuts in, and what a rivet nut in is like a rivet, but it's threaded. So you can put that's a 1/4 So all you do is drill it out. You get a rivet gun. You have to use a special gun for it. You can't use a regular rivet gun. It has to be a rivet nut gun. And then when you put it in there, the ones we use are called shouldered. And when you start squeezing on it, when it pulls in, it actually spreads apart this way. So it's almost like a washer behind there, if you will. These little wings come out and break open and kind of expand, much like a molly bolt. But anyhow, so we did all that to add some more strength because these were all stripped out. And then what I did is right here, see this piece of steel? That runs over to the frame, just like the hitch is. There's a frame inside there. And basically what I did is I brought it over, and there's just a couple of U-bolts. It's, you know, fairly simple concept. It just takes a little bit to prep it, weld it, you know, because you want to cap it off, you want to clean it, you want to paint it and all that stuff. So there's a little bit to it on that end of it. But overall, it's not like a really hard task. So you have something like that, you can get yourself a piece of steel like this, get yourself a couple of U-bolts, and now you solve that problem. So now when you step on this, when you step on it, it's all going down to that plate instead of the stress going on here. So I'm going to show you. And then this coach came all the way from Ontario. We appreciate him coming down. We appreciate the work. A lot of work to it. We had a lot of burps due to the slides is having a lot of issues. First it was the valves, so we changed the valves out, and then the solenoid went, so we had to put a new solenoid in it, and that's making it hard. And I think the pump is going, and it's making it hard for us to actually adjust what we really want. But you know, they really want to get this back, and they're going to probably have to take it somewhere to have them check all the pump out and everything else to make sure it's operating properly. That isn't really our wheelhouse, doing like all of that assembly, but you know, we did get it enough to where we could work on it, because before we couldn't even open the slides, so we were kind of forced to have to do it. But as a rule, we don't like to actually meddle with the hydraulics and all the valves and everything. And a lot of the reason is because you have to keep water in these parts, and it just takes time and it sits there. And we hate to see that happen. We like to try to, you know, do our job and get it out if we can. We're at the mercy of whoever's going to send us the parts. In this case, it was Lippert. So, but I got to say, on Lippert's end of their tech, so let's see if this is open over here. So in regards to Lippert, you can call Lippert themselves, and they'll help you diagnose it. And basically, your valves are right up in there. They're real easy to change. They are, but Lippert will walk you right through this. And then there's another solenoid up there. And again, all that's real easy to do. It's just a matter of getting it. So the tech part about Lippert, I really like. And they'll do their best to try to get it out. So I can't say really that they were hard to deal with. It's still just a matter of waiting for parts. So, you know, if you want to pay to have it overnighted like we did, but those parts, that valve, I think the valve, we got two valves that were diagnosed that were bad, and they were like 220-ish, something like that, 225 a piece. And then the solenoid itself, I think it was just about, it was under $200, but then we had to pay for the special shipping and all that stuff. So, But again, you can try reaching out if you have those issues where, so what was happening with the coach is when we were trying to let down the rams down here and balance it out, then, and open the slides, when we were trying to open the slides, the whole thing was tilting, it was tilting, you know, this way, like it wanted to flip itself over. That's the issue we were having, and the slides weren't moving. So that's how we diagnosed that it was a bad valve. So once we got the valve in, like I said, that was cool, got it all set. And then, as you know, after using it, I think really he has a bad pump in there as well. I thought that was kind of unusual that you'd have a bad valve, a solenoid, and a pump go all at the same time. But from what Lippard says, that's really not uncommon considering, I think this is a 13, I believe there's a 2013 or something. But he said, well, you know, being over 10 years old, it's not uncommon. I was like, I don't know. Just seemed weird to me. But nonetheless, that was some of the hiccups that we had. And that's why, you know, if we keep opening and closing, I'm really concerned because of it having a weak pump that it's going to burn out that solenoid, and then they won't be able to close it up, load it on their truck or anything, even just to go home. So they can, and that's what they want to do. So that, like you said, they may have to go look at, have someone else look at it. And all right, so let's go up onto the roof. And we got everything done here. And ta-da, we just wiped it down. You can probably see a little water right there. And this is our little stamp that we put on there, April of 25. And so we got all that done. And the reason we put those on there, one, we'd like to monitor the roof. When these things come back, we offer free inspections. When they come back, I just like to see how they're doing. I'm curious to know, how old is this roof? When did we put it on? Is everything doing well? So I don't want anybody to think that, and we offer the free inspections, I don't want anybody to ever think that, hey, you know, we put the roof on, hey, come back when you want to spend some more money. I like to see them come back. I want to take a look at it, want to make sure the products are working like they're supposed to, that everything is, you know, just the way the customer wanted it done. So, in the way it needs to be done properly. So the roof itself, you can see we got these mounting bolts. And if you go back, if you can remember the first part of the video, we had some issues with some rot in there. So this is easy now. Whoever works on this air conditioner can just undo these 9/16 bolts. So it's a galvanized, it's secured into the roof deck. There's no way that can come loose. And then all you have to do is just put the nut on there. There's no putting it right through the actual roof and trying to slobber it with self-leveling. You know, all that's gone. We put these ones on the back just to give it some balance. So now we got rain coming down, rain's coming down, rolling around. Up underneath there's a foam gasket, and I don't want water to get up into that foam gasket, so I put this other piece in the front. Is basically a counter, that's called a counter flash. I put that on there, so now when the water comes down, it'll hit and it'll go down. There's a counter flash on the curb. I'll show you that on another one. That's just a satellite logo, just icon, whatever, tag, in case someone ever wants to put the satellite on, they wanted all that removed. And then, same thing with this air conditioning, you see the same style. And now we've got over here, this is the lens to the showers, you can see. And these are solely glued down. So what that is a solar fan. In the wintertime, or even in the, you know, the fall, you're going to get some dew and some frost up on this top of this lens. It's also on the underside of this lens. So now what happens is, and I think I already showed a clip of this, but anyhow, when the sun evaporates this off, what's up underneath gets diffused down to condensation, starts drooling down. It could get into the roof deck, and it causes what's known as dry rot. The other issue is, since you have an inner lens and then the outer lens, you have that cavity inside, and it will build up some heat. So that solar fan's going to kick on. There's a piece of ductwork that runs into there. There's a piece of ductwork that runs over here, and it causes a cycle. So, and I believe, like I said, I believe I showed it, but it's all cladded with aluminum in here. So even if this lens cracks, the only place it can leak is actually down into the shower. It can't go anywhere else. The way we've wrapped it all around, it's not going to get back into the roof deck. So. And then something else you wanted to put on, I guess this is some sort of internet Wi-Fi or something like that. I don't know. Something along that lines. I think it's internet. Called P-Link or something along that line. Anyhow, that's what that is. And you can see the way we also put the, you can see the way we put this antenna on here. And again, the same thing, it's up on bolts, so anybody can change that out if it breaks or gets clipped by a tree branch or whatever. You just undo those nuts on there, undo the coax, it'll pop off. It'll take you longer to go buy the actual antenna. It'll take you longer to buy it than it would be to remove it and replace it. So, but anybody can follow behind us. That's the beauty of this roof. You don't have to necessarily come to us. If you want to do it yourself, if the lens cracked, you can do the lens yourself. You know, if that fan failed, you can change that. Everything you can change yourself. So a tech can follow us. So this is called counter flashing right here. That's what this is right here. This little piece is called counter flashing. So the purpose of that, see, all right here, they all have it. The purpose of that is when the rain is coming across the roof, it's going to hit up in here and it's going to get diverted. And what it does is it minimizes erosion effect. All flat roofs have these type of curves that have a counter flash to them. It's the way they're made. That's the design of them. And that's the principle of it, is to prevent erosion effect. That's typically what happens when you have all these caulkings fail. But so getting back to the air conditioner with that counter flash that's there, it goes below this one. So it hangs down here. And then the water can wash out. That's the concept to it. So other than that, then the way this roof profile is, let's see if I can, I don't know if you can see it too well, but it kind of drops down. And if I did this with one sheet, I'd have some ripples in here. You'd probably see a couple, but this is a different membrane. This is a structured reinforced membrane. So what we did is put two pieces together and we welded them 5 inches, so it isn't going anywhere. It's as good as one sheet. And then obviously we put 2 strikes of caulking on here. And the reason why I do 2 strikes is because when you put 1 strike on there, if you've ever operated a caulking gun, you start squeezing it, you'll hear it pop and crackle. You just injected an air bubble. So if these do rack and twist a bit, and I don't want that air bubble to breach. If it breaches, then it's a possible leak. So what are the chances of having one air bubble land on top of another one, which is why I put the 2 passes on there. So and then we put this insert trim in here, and I'll show you that in a minute. But so we got all that. We've never had to change all this. I see people all the time, even on Facebook, talking about, hey, what do I got to do to redo this? We haven't had to do one ever. It just, you use a good product, it doesn't happen. All these RV products, they're all designed like on purpose. They're all designed to fail, to sell more product. That's what it is. Consumable marketing, because they make a lot of money off it. They make a lot of money off of the products. So you can see we even did the same around here for these boots. So you climb up the ladder, these things wiggle a lot. You're not going to have that breach. It's all done. Everything's done. So you don't have these chronic issues where self-leveling. There is no place for self-leveling on here at all. Nothing. You don't self-level anything. The only caulking we got is right here on the back. On there, on the top of the gutter. That's it. That's all we got. So the roof membrane itself, this is a 60 mil commercial grade TPO. That's what it is. This is the same exact membrane you're going to find on a hotel, office building, library, restaurant. Same exact membrane. I buy it from the same supply house. These are standard colors. You got your gray, your tan, and your white. And then there's all our information. This is a reinforced membrane. What that means is that you can see these little squares in here. That's a mesh that's built into it, which resists hail and tree branches. You can pressure wash this roof, no problem. It's not an issue. You can bring it to a truck wash, say, hey, get up there and pressure wash it. You know, no problem at all. Easily patchable. If a tree branch went through it, you know, we do leave folks with a care package for emergencies in case a tree branch does. But if they brought it back to us, we'll do a hot patch on it, and that's a permanent repair. Roof tape isn't a permanent repair. It is an emergency repair, but I would not call that a permanent repair. So the insert trim, which is right here, that goes in the actual gutter to hide the screws, that's what this is right here. So this is obviously white and black. I get 2 different ones, but they're both the same. You can see that little groove. It fits into that little track right there. So it's going inside, and then it goes on the outside of it as well. So this way it locks the water out And that's what I want to do. I want to keep all that moisture out. I want to keep anything I can out. And we seal every single screw. Every single screw on this thing is sealed. So, but that's the other principle to this too, is water has an adhesion principle, much like if you were to put a chain up on the roof here and I throw a few links over, that whole thing is eventually going to just, right, come on down. Well, when you have one water molecule head in a certain direction, it pulls other water molecules, and it's going to do it and kind of pull it down into the gutter. You can see this kind of got like a bulb shape to it, right? It's got a bulb shape, and that's the whole intent, is to get it to roll into the gutter and not get into that track right there. So, like I said, we appreciate all the work. You know, if you have any questions, if you're interested and so forth, then we just recommend you give us a call, and we'll help you out with your specific coach. We don't quote on social media, so and if you need any other information, we also don't sell anything. I have some requests where people say, hey, can I buy this, buy that? I don't sell anything here. There's nothing we sell. Even this insert trim, literally I have to order it approximately 2 miles at a time. I have to buy 10,000 linear feet at a time, so I got to get a big pallet of it. And but this isn't something you just get in a few feet that I've found. So all that in mind, we appreciate you all watching, and maybe you got some tips out of what we did. Other than that, we will probably see you on the next one. Care package. Right. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through, and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do? And it's raining out. Right now it's raining. You're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you're trying to do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. You squeeze, squeeze. You want to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Get some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? No, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on? Yes, sir. Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. You're also going to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. I can get my fat fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hit, hit. There it is. Now you got the film. We take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. If it doesn't all sit in there, you can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, what the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.